Hey everyone, we are unwrapping the Pharaohs, chapter 25. And this talks about the dynasty of Ramses, okay? And there's a few different dynasties where basically every pharaoh was named Ramses. And this is a problematic time period for Egyptian history. Um, there's a lot of confusion, a lot of timeline problems, okay? Ramses III, which we just talked about, and we talked a little bit about in that lesson, some of the concerns with the timeline there. But he's conventionally identified as the pharaoh of the 20th dynasty, okay? But here's some of the things that we do know and that we have to look at, okay? Menethu, who we know is the Egyptian historian who kind of laid out the dynasties, doesn't name the kings of this dynasty. He just kind of gives some information, okay? Eventually, one of the archaeologists, Petrie, in 1896, finds a stela of Meneptah, and we know that he's the son of Ramses the Great, okay, that we just talked about. And on this stela, it says, it says in the book, there's the usual praise for Meneptah's valor, and then great joy has arisen in Egypt, and jubilation issues from the towns of Timurus. They tell of his victories which King Merneptah has won among the Tehenu, how they love him, the victorious prince. They magnify him among the gods. How fortunate he is, the Lord of command. Ah, it is good to sit down and chatter. Men walk again unhindered on the roads, and there is no fear in men's hearts. There is no shouting and calling out in the night of halt, halt, in the speech of strangers. It is the text at the bottom of this stela that has aroused the most interest. It simply adds this: desolation is for Tehenu. Hatti is pacified. Plundered is the Canaan with every evil. Carried off is Ashkelon. Seized upon is Gezer. Yanoam is made as that which does not exist. Israel is laid waste. His seed is not. Okay? And that tends to kind of stir the whole pot up, basically, when it comes to the timeline problems. And we'll talk about some of that, okay? In the 8th year of Ramses III, there's an invasion of Egypt by the sea people, the Peleset, okay? The Peleset equals Philistines, okay? The Pereset, P-E-R-E-S-E-T, equals the Persians. And so then there may be some confusion along those lines. Okay, and so this is what it talks about, okay? It's on page 180, it says, Velikovsky points out that the spelling on the wall of the Medinet Habu is not Peleset, P-E-L-E-S-E-T, but Pereset, P-E-R-E-S-E-T, right? Not Palestine, but Persian, which is really the word for Persians, and their headgear is strikingly similar to what is depicted on the wall of Persepolis in ancient Persia. As for the Philistines, they were in Palestine long before the time of Ramses III. Okay, so that inscription starts to say, we have a problem with the timeline. Then you look at the palace at Tel El Yehutiva, and it says this, okay? There's another anachronism to dating Ramses III to the 13th century. He built a fortress at a place at Tel El Yehudia in the Delta. The problem for the conventional chronology is that many tiles from the palace had Greek letters on their backsides, but the Greek alphabet was not invented until the 8th century BC. So obviously there is something radically wrong with the traditional dates. They need to be drastically reduced, okay? So there's just more and more evidence saying these dates, their timelines are problematic. But we still have to kind of look at them, okay, and go through them. So we're going to look just real briefly, 27, 28, 29, 30th dynasty, and just kind of see just a little bit of information. But we want to know and want to point out to you that there's some problems with these timelines and with the traditional dynasties of this period, because we're not exactly sure where they actually fit, okay? So the 27th dynasty has Cambyses, who is the son of Cyrus, and he invaded Egypt and established Persian rule over the country. And his reign lasted until the reign of Artaxerxes II. Then you have the 28th dynasty, Amritius, who established Egyptian independence. His sole reign was the 28th dynasty. And so then, he questions, is that really a dynasty? Do you get all of 28th dynasty being the rule of one person when a dynasty technically is, your successors ruling? But they give him the whole 28th dynasty. The 29th dynasty has 3 Egyptian kings, and there's very little information about those. Then we get to the 30th dynasty, okay? And the 30th dynasty starts with Nectanebo I. And the Persians return to this point, okay? And some people think that Nectanebo is Ramses III because his Egyptian name basically translates into Nectanab or Nectanebo, okay? He's on friendly terms with the Persians at this point. And then you have Artaxerxes II. He's the Persian who invades with the Greek help. So then there's 200,000 Persians and 20,000 Greeks, and they come and they try to invade Egypt and are repelled by Nectanebo, Ramses III. Okay? And so then we go on and look at some other Ramses, okay, that are part of this 30th dynasty. We have Ramses IV. Basically, we know as Takos. Ramses V that we know absolutely nothing about. We have Ramses VI with this Nectanebo II. And he is the last native prince of ancient Egypt, okay? He's defeated in the Delta by Persian forces because this war between Persia and Egypt continues, and he retreats to the Upper Egypt. And he makes a beautiful tomb in the Valley of the Kings at Luxor, okay? And then there are, after him, multiple other Ramses. That Ramses just go on and on and on, which is why we call this the dynasty of Ramses, right? It says that nothing certain is known about the other kings of this dynasty who bore the name of Ramses. If they existed at all, they would have been contemporary with other rulers or identified with them, okay? And so what we know about basically this 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th dynasty is we're confused. There's a lot of confusion. We're not sure if it's one dynasty or, several dynasties. These rulers may have overlapped. The timeline itself may be completely off based on some other historical documents. And what's important, though, is to remember that there were several Ramses, and this period is just kind of in question. Thanks.